the button. Okay, let's see the barrel. Let's see the Susa Shari. What page are we on? Okay. No. Yeah. You're in the middle of the paragraph before. He says, this is precisely the device of the evil inclination which he employs against people. He says he's a master of war, the Yetzirah. And he's well weathered or trained, taught in cunningness. The it's impossible. We're no match for the Yetzirah. You need tremendous wisdom and a great degree of deliverance. The Navi screams and he says, your minds must be focused on your actions, on your behavior. You can't turn a blind eye, not for a moment. Don't allow your eyes even to doze off to sleep, or slumber to your brow. You should save yourself like a fleeting deer, and a bird from the hand of the trapper. One who evaluates, one who evaluates. You don't do an action unless it's fully evaluated in this world. He will merit to see the salvation of Hashem. Let's tell over the story, there's a mitzvah saseh, there's a positive commandment that if you have a Jewish employee, you're supposed to pay him on the day that he works, not to let a 12-hour period pass. And if you pay him within that period, you fulfill a mitzvah saseh, b'yomo titin lo scharo. On the day you paid his wage. So there was a story, the Chofetz Chaim's had a son-in-law, Mendel Zaks. Towards the end of his life, he was a Rosh Yeshiva in YU. He was married to Chofetz Chaim's youngest daughter. So in Europe, no Jew would go with a coach driver who was not Jewish, because they were always suspect of murder. They would take the Jew in the forest, they would kill the Jew. So what they called the Balagola was a Jew always, the coach person, the driver. So they would have a Jew, and they had a coach, especially for the Chofetz Chaim, because he would have to travel very often for different meetings and missions, and his son-in-law would accompany him. He came back 2-3 in the morning, and Mendel Zaks is about a quarter of the age of his father-in-law, literally a quarter age. The Chofetz Chaim, when his daughter was born, he was already in his early 70s. When his daughter, maybe even older. What? His youngest child was born to him. He was already in his mid-70s. The Chofetz Chaim. Maybe in later 70s. And she married Mendel Zaks. That was his son-in-law. So Mendel Zaks barely could stand. After traveling to Vilna and coming back 2 in the morning, the Chofetz Chaim immediately goes into his room, sits down and studies. As if he didn't have a long day. He can't even open his eyes after such a day. Okay, that's just a side point. So the Chofetz Chaim says to his son-in-law, he said, did you pay the coachman? He says, yes. He says, not only did I pay him, I gave him a handsome tip because we came back so late. He says, and when you gave him the money, you paid him his wage. Did you have in mind that you did it for the sake of b'yom titin scharo? Did you fulfill in the midst of paying that you on the day of that you have to pay his wage? He says, no. I didn't think about these. He goes, wasted opportunity. The Chofetz Chaim didn't meet a beat. I mean, a person who's shom ochosov, there's nothing in your life that you don't evaluate before you do it. And if you make that evaluation, what is the value of this action? Mm-hmm. It's not just a functioning action. You have a debt, you have to pay the debt. The man gave you a service, you're paying for the service. It's a mitzvah. But yes, Doraisa. So if you have a Jewish handyman or plumber, whatever it is, and whatever, right? You pay him when you get the bill, right? And you don't let it linger on for weeks. Again, we're speaking about where he's counting on it. If the one who the money's owed to says it's okay, it's not a problem, right? He says I'll bill you. Okay, so he bills you. But if you go beyond that billing period, it's not so simple that you're not in violation of not paying in time. Okay.
A Jewish employee that's employed, has a bi-weekly salary.
Right. Correct. Because that's the agreement. Right. That's the agreement. Not a good. Only a Jew.
When you open the streets in New York, and you do it instinctively because you know you're waiting. You cannot think all the time about vigilance.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
If there would be a shootout on the street, and you have to walk down the street, are you going to be vigilant that you shouldn't be hit with a stray bullet? You'll crawl on that ground below the line of fire, right? Why? Because you understand the seriousness of not being vigilant.
Right.
So if you understand what it means to serve Hashem and not to transgress and violate, you're going to be no less vigilant, understanding what the liability is, what the consequences. So everything's in the mindset. What's your approach? What are we dealing with?
And Yisir Sharm uses very strong terms. He says the only possible way to beat the Yitzhar is with Chachma Rabba and Hashkafa Gedola.
But he's quoting Psukim.
No, I know, but
right?
Most people don't have that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why it's like...
Because they invest, where do they invest the Chachma Gedola?
Most people don't have Chachma Gedola.
No, I understand that. Because they don't value it. They could have. If they would shift their...
People don't have it. Even in other times.
No, you could be wise. You don't have to be very. You don't have to have a very advanced IQ to be wise. Wise is something else.
Just realization.
Right? You can be very smart and be a fool. Right? As you find, this is the one niche deal. This is my niche. Outside of that, the man lives like an irresponsible animal. That's what the way people behave. Right? They used to have, they once did that in an interview on heroes. One time they were heroes. Even a baseball player was a hero. Right? Pee Wee Reese. Right? They were heroes. They were decent human beings. And they also, they were good ball players. They had on this guy, what's his name? Gooden? Guy was a drug addict. That's a hero. Because he could actually throw the ball in a certain way. He was a terrific pitcher. Well, the man's a lowlife. Subhuman being. That's what children should look up to. Same idea. Okay. If you have Yiras Hashem, then that's Reishis Chacham Yiras Hashem. That's Chacham. If you have that, then now you're starting to get it.
He was back in the day.
I'll stuff him as Mashiach after my film.
Kobe said,
Yes. How could I help you?